Good afternoon, students. For today's second session of SAP Fi, we have Nagraj sir with us. After the sessions will end, the next session we will have on Monday. So stay tuned and stay updated. Check your mail on a regular basis. Thank you, sir. You can continue with the session, sir.
Thank you so much, Kumar.
Welcome, sir.
Thank you. A warm, Kunal, you are able to hear to me clearly?
Yes, sir.
Should
Your
I?
voice is totally clear, sir.
I was just checking if I need to increase the volume.
No, no, sir. Totally clear, sir. I can hear you out.
Yeah, thank you, Kunal. So, dear students, welcome back. So just before we took a break, we came across, just a moment, I will. So we typically got introduced to a couple of terms, very typical to the SAP field. What are those? Let me just recap all the terminologies which we came across. It could be a repetition, dear students, but believe me, it's all worth it. Okay. So the first and the foremost, we came across a term ERP. Correct. Even before we took up SAP or what we started talking about the other things, what SAP is all about. ERP stands for Enterprise Resource Plan. And under this, SAP also falls under this ERP tools. Okay. ERP is also SAP is also one of the ERP products. So the first and the basic question is, was SAP the first ERP product? The answer is no. The first and the very initial products, ERP products were PeopleSoft, these were probably you would have come across somewhere or the other these names, but even if you have not come across these names, it is absolutely no problem. Okay. These were the earlier ERP products. Even before SAP took birth, these were the earlier ERP products. Now, are they being used even today? Why are we talking only about SAP then? Why aren't we talking about PeopleSoft? Why aren't we talking about JD Edwards? Why aren't we talking about Ban? I will also add Tally. It also falls under the ERP product. Okay. Now, when you look at these products, I'm talking about these products, they satisfied the business requirements of probably one of the departments or say one of the functionalities. Like say PeopleSoft, probably it met a larger requirement from the HR side, human resources side. But even today, in some parts of Europe, you can still see some of the businesses they are using Ban They are in some parts of the US, they are using JD Edwards. Okay, it is not that they are totally out of, but the only thing is how these products addressed the various functionalities of the business. All right. Now, how these products brought about a connection between the various business functionalities that decided the success or the failure of the product. Now, today, even before the break, I said SAP being a global product. So SAP as a company. Now, what is SAP? SAP stands for Systems, Applications, and Products or Procedures. You can use either of the terms in data processing. All right. Now, we always pronounce this as SAP only and not as SAP. Okay, but why? Probably somewhere down the line, I will share the reason as to why, especially the professionals, people who have spent some time in the field of SAP, they never use SAP. Okay, they always say SAP, and that, but on the contrary, I've also seen people who have spent 2 decades or even 1.5 decades, maybe say 10, 15 years, they also use SAP. Okay, but it is actually SAP. Okay, and it is not SAP. Okay. Now, when we are talking about out of all the ERP products, if we are talking about SAP, which originated or which took birth in a place called Waldorf in Germany. Even today, it is the head office is in Germany. Okay. Now, I'm talking way back in 1971 or 72. This was the brainchild of 4 or 5 IBM engineers. All right. Now, when you talk about SAP, so we can see to meet the global requirements of the business. What kind of business? So now what SAP does caters to all businesses, meaning any kind of a business, any industry can use SAP. I will show you the list of industries which are already using SAP. But as far as the nature of business is concerned, there is no restriction as to only certain businesses can use SAP. No, it is not at all the nature of business which decides whether SAP can be used or not to be used. But as I said earlier, SAP was being used only by companies which are rich, or rather which could afford SAP. But later, what happened? The SAP became so very, what should I say? Being applied to any kind of a business. Many other smaller and medium businesses also started using because of the various benefits. So what are the benefits of SAP? Somebody asked me what are the benefits of SAP? Now the benefits of SAP could be the integration of various business functionalities, meaning functionality, business functionalities is nothing but your various departments in your organization. The various activities. It could be your procurement activity, it could be your sales activities, it could be your manufacturing production activities, it could be your human resource activities, how you hire people, how you treat, or rather how do you treat the retirement of people. All right, how do you manage your assets? Okay, starting from buying of an asset to the depreciation to the reporting of the assets. All right, so how these activities within the organization they integrate, they bind themselves. How very well this actually is addressed by SAP is one of the strongest reasons why SAP is relevant in the market. The purchase activities getting related to the production activities. So you would have heard about so many terminologies in your theory CMA sessions, right? Like say, what is your economic order quantity? What is your safety stock? What is your reorder stock level? All these things are typically taken care of in SAP. Your bill of materials, your MRP, material requirement plan, when do you want to actually procure, your billing. So all these things. So you purchase a material, right? So a product, if you produce a product A, there could be various subcomponents included in under A. It could have raw materials, it could have semi-finished products, it could have some other fabrication products, it could have spares, whatever, spares and consumables. So how this particular production, how are you converting the raw material into a finished product? Because it has to go through a various the process of converting the raw material into a finished product goes through a lot of activities. Correct. So there are a lot of departments also involved. You have your purchase department, you have your production department, and finally you have your sales department. And when does the finance department come in? The finance department comes in when you want to finish the cycle. In the sense, you procure a raw material. When does the cycle end? So the integration of the various business functionalities, they are referred to as business cycles in SAP. All right. Now, for example, I will show you all these slides, but just for you to explain, just for you to understand what SAP has to offer, I'm bringing in all this. So we have some concept called as business cycles or processing cycles, so whatever you may call it. So to explain, what is this P2P cycle? procure to pay cycle, meaning from the time you procure the raw materials till the time you make a payment to the vendor, it is your procure to pay or purchase to pay cycle, P2P. These are all typical terminologies in SAP. All right. Now you have what is O2C? It is a purchase cycle. Purchase business life cycle. You agree with me? But what are the steps in this? I will explain at the appropriate time. I'm just giving you a very superficial explanation as to what SAP has to offer to us, to any business. Order to cash. What is order to cash? From the time a customer orders for a specific item till the time he makes a payment for his purchase until the organization receives the money from the customer. Sales cycle, order to cash. Till the sale gets converted into cash, till the customer makes a payment, the cycle is not complete. You have plan to produce also. OK, that is typically a plan to produce. Typically a PP cycle, production planning cycle. You have hire to retire. From the time the organization hires a person till the time he retires from service. This is a typical human resources cycle. There is also an asset. Probably, I don't know if I may be wrong in my terminologies. Record to dust. Asset cycle. So from the time you procure an asset till the time it finishes its life cycle. So suppose you procure a car today for your organization. What is the life cycle of a car? Maybe say 5 to 7 years, maximum 10 years. So you carry out the capitalization entries, the depreciation entries, the scrap or the retirement, whatever you may sell the asset to another organization, the proceeds what you realize. So till the asset is bought into the organization, till it ends the life cycle, it is the asset life cycle. So these are all the different business cycles, which you are obviously going to see in your course content, but may not be the entirety. OK, but for all the cycles, whatever cycle, whatever business process you may take, you may call this as a business cycle, business process, whatever you're convenient. But these are all the typical SAP terminologies. All right. Now I will repeat this again, not a problem. So we are, as you may be very clear, we are going to touch upon only the finance side of SAP. I think there you are very clear because you're all CMA graduates, or rather would be CMA graduates. So obviously you will be more interested to know the finance side of SAP. And as I said, please do not assume once you start learning SAP, you are going to be experts in all the cycles. No, I'm sorry. If at all you know one or if at all you know one part of SAP, that is the finance side, which we are interested with, it is more than enough. All right, because your finance module or your finance side of SAP also includes your banking, your taxation, your asset management, your management accounting also. And where do you think the finance side of SAP comes into these cycles? As I said, this P2P cycle will not be complete until unless payment is made to the vendor or to the supplier. Supplier of what? Supplier of goods. Supplier of raw materials. So here you have money coming in or the check coming in or the bank coming in. So till the time you make a purchase of raw materials, till the time you clear the liability. What is the liability here? Clearing of the payment to the supplier. This is your procurement to pay or purchase to pay cycle. Now in this, you have various other concepts called as purchase request, purchase orders, vendor evaluation, pricing. All these things, they form, for example, I'll give you an example. Now in your purchase to pay cycle, all right, you enter your organization enters into an agreement with a supplier saying that 100 kgs of raw materials should be supplied by say maybe say 31st of May or 30th of June. Today we are in the 3rd of May. So 50 kgs has to be supplied by 15th of May. Another 20 kgs should be supplied by 31st of May. And another 15 kgs by June 15. Another whatever remaining by 30th of June. So where is all these conditions put? So 100 kgs will be valued at say 100 rupees per kg. So what is the final value? 100 into 100. 100 kgs into 100 rupees per kg. So that is the value of the order. So how does SAP understand? So here I'm talking about the integration. So what is the requirement in SAP, or what is the basic requirement for the cycle? You need to have, see, I'm not using anything extra. Whatever you have heard about in the business only I'm talking about. It is nothing new to SAP. So now, how do you formalize a relationship with your supplier? You enter into an agreement with him. So you have concepts like say purchase request, purchase order, vendor evaluation, and the purchase order getting approved by the finance head over and above a specific value. It has to undergo an approval process. So all these things, are they new to SAP? Absolutely nothing. These things were happening even before SAP. Correct? Now, All these concepts are brought in SAP, into SAP as a business cycle. Sounds interesting? Similarly, your order to cash. Order is placed by the customer. Order. Okay. Till when is it complete? Till the sale is, till the customer makes a payment. Till I receive the receipt of money, this order to cash cycle is not complete. So here again, there are various steps. It depends. See, one organization may be following 5 steps. The other organization may be following 7 steps. Another organization may be following 8 steps. So the number of steps, that is why it is called as a business cycle or a business cycle in SAP. All right. So how does the order to cash cycle, which is typical to the sales department, how does it arise? Just like a purchase order was raised in the purchase cycle, a sale order is also raised in your sales cycle. First of all, there is something called as an inquiry being done by the customer. Then a quotation is raised. Then the sales order is raised, formalizing the understanding between your organization and the customer. Correct? And what are the modalities? When are you going to supply the finished goods to your customer? So from that time onwards, till the time you receive the money from the customer, your order to cash cycle is active. He may pay you in terms of cash. He may pay you in terms of a check, whatever, wire transfer, whatever. Is this cycle typical to SAP itself? Wasn't this happening even before SAP? So what am I doing here? I'm simply converting the business into SAP requirement. That is all. This is the only requirement from converting your business to your SAP. And how best you do this is the capability and expertise of the consultant. Let me just explain one more cycle. Asset life cycle. So from the time you bring in the asset, capitalize. Capitalization. What do you do after capitalizing the asset? After depreciation, after the expiry of the life of the asset, what do? You either scrap the material or sell. Then finally, by this, you retire the, you end the asset. You bring the asset to an end. You retire the asset. So since the time you capitalize the asset, all these things, all these activities, they are taking place in SAP. So when I talk about asset accounting, you will see all these things being shown to you. I will take up this particular thing in the form of slides and just see here you will be talking about your when you should when you should or reorder for the stock, safety stock. If I have 100, I think probably you being CMA, you would have already studied all these things in your BCom or in your CM. So I'm not going to go to this particular thing in detail, especially when you're talking about the production side, your MRP, BOM, your reorder stock, reorder quantity, safety stock, all these concepts we will just read through. Okay, these two particular, the hire to retire cycle and the plan to produce. Okay, so what is planning? Suppose a customer places an order for 100 pieces of a particular item. So what would you do? You would first take stock of if the stock is available. Stock of the finished products is already available with you. If it is not available, how do you plan to produce? So for that, what is the quantity of raw materials? Is the raw material already available?
Nagraj sir,
Yes.
can you zoom little bit on your Excel sheet? Sunil is saying.
Okay, fine. Okay. Is this okay now? Kunal?
Yes, sir.
Or you want me to increase the size further? I'll do that first.
I think sir, not increase the word size, increase the zooming of the Excel sheet. That's it.
Zooming.
Uh, you can zoom the page, Excel page, sir.
Does it look better now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So these things, so the way SAP connects all these functionalities. Okay. You will see how beautifully all these activities are connected in SAP. So as you can see, the finance is such an important part of SAP, which we are going to see. And as far as I have carried out the projects, okay, there is no project which has started without the finance. Obviously, it doesn't make sense, right? After all, what is business? You're actually automating your business. So what is business? The inflow and outflow of your cash. Inflow and outflow of money is nothing but your business. So how well are you going to manage? All these things are addressed through your finance or your FI side of SAP. I have still not gone into the finance side. I'm still on the superficial side of what is SAP and what SAP has got to offer. You will see this in your study content also. Okay, I hope things are getting a little clear. Probably I can give you a 2-minute break just for you to ask me questions. If somewhere you would have not understood something, I'll give you a 2-minute break. Just think over it, because now I have the Excel sheet also placed in front of you. So you can go through that and please let me know where you have not understood. Believe me, I have not even come in greater detail of SAP. Please take a 2-minute break. Think over whatever has happened. And if you have any questions, please go ahead and ask. Kunal, do we have any questions?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead, Kunal.
Sir, what are the demerit of SAP FI?
Demerits.
Yeah, a student is asking what is there any demerits?
Uh, as far as my experience takes me, I have not seen any demerits. But if you are pointing the question in comparison to any other product, I wouldn't be knowing because I don't know how the other product works. Probably if you have already worked on something like Tally and you're comparing SAP Finance with Tally Finance, I really wouldn't know because I have not worked on Tally. But if you're asking me as to demerits in finance, probably I don't know. I'm not
Okay,
aware
sir.
of any demerits.
So, what are the advantages of using SAP to our business?
Uh, Probably have explained this. This is your advantage. You are automating the process. See, SAP advantages. I hope probably this line could substantiate as to why why SAP is being used. Automating all these processes with a minimal human intervention. As I gave you an example, now you receive the materials in your store, correct? So what would be the entry in your books? Inventory account debit. I'm on purpose, I'm not talking to you about which account is getting credited. Okay, so how does this happen? Automatically, if you have done the SAP configuration. What is configuration? Converting SAP into the business requirement. For example, I said I'm an employee of IBM. I'm assuming, okay? I'm a consultant in IBM. X Limited wants some advice as to how it can implement SAP. So I would first and foremost, I would try to understand how the business activities are taking place. How actually, what are the steps that X Limited is following in the to carry out its business? And I would I would balance my SAP knowledge with X Limited's business requirements. And accordingly, I would give them the SAP product. I would design the SAP product to meet the requirement of X Limited. I hope you got my point. I actually, even before the break, I said SAP, you can think of it to be a cloth. You take the piece of cloth to a tailor. What will he ask you? He will ask whether I need to stitch a shirt, whether I need to stitch a pant. What do you want me to stitch with the what do you want me to do with this cloth? I can do anything with this cloth. I can stitch a kurta, I can stitch a shirt, I can stitch a pant. I can do anything with this cloth. But what do you want? That is the thing which I as a consultant needs to understand. Because X Limited may want a shirt, Y Limited may want a pant, Z Limited may want maybe say full arm shirt, whatever it is. So, but the product is the same cloth. The product is SAP. But as a consultant, how I would understand the requirement. I cannot, just because I have the cloth and just because I only know how to stitch a shirt, I cannot give the same product to X Limited, Y Limited, and Z Limited. So basically, to draw the best out of SAP, I as a consultant need to know SAP in the first place and how I would want to automate the business of X Limited or Y Limited or Z Limited. So here you can reduce the human errors. All right. So here again, I hope I have answered this question, the advantages of SAP.
Yes, sir.
Okay, but please do not expect that in case I just gave you an example of the raw materials coming. So the inventory account gets a debit. If I as an end user, if I enter a credit to the inventory account, it is not SAP's fault. SAP cannot tell you that inventory account should be a debit. Sorry, it cannot be like that. You need to build a system in such a way, you need to stitch the SAP system in such a way that whenever the items come into your inventory, there is always a debit happening in the inventory account. Clear? When the inventory is used up, actually it gets a credit. So in the process, the way the SAP system is built, is configured, that is the so there is no human intervention or a minimal human intervention. You don't have to physically keep doing things. You will see that when I show you the SAP system, gradually you will understand how the SAP system can be made use of, how advantageous it is to you. All right. So probably your question may still remain unanswered to maybe say to a fair extent. OK, you can ask me this question once when we finish with a week of SAP, then probably you'll be having a different thought of SAP. Your thought process will change. Then you yourself on your own, you will be in a position to get to know more about SAP. I hope things are clear. So basically, the major advantage is you are automating the business functionalities to minimize the human intervention. Clear?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Any other question, Kuna?
Yes, sir. They are asking, can you explain the cycles? What are the cycles they have?
Yeah,
The
for this
modules.
question, please hold on. Let me finish off with the basics. Okay, these cycles I will explain, but now for the moment, it is enough for you to know what is P2P, what is O2C. It is enough for you to know that it is a purchase cycle and it is a sales cycle. That's all, nothing more than that. When we get into this particular topic, which we are going to do maybe say in the second week or something, or maybe in the third week, you will be in a position to understand more with more clarity as to what the cycles are. So please hold on till then. I have just explained what is the business cycles or business processes. Okay, because the term came up in the discussion, and that is why I just went on explaining. And please believe me that I have just written down the names of the business processes. I have not gone into the SAP side of this. This I will, you will have definitely you'll be having more clarity when I take up this particular topic. There is a topic called as business processes where I will be taking you how these things are automated. You will completely understand the meaning of this statement. Okay, in relation to these cycles, business cycles. So please hold on till that time. Now it is enough for you to know the typical naming conventions in SAP. What I'm just trying to highlight as to what are the names or what are the terminologies probably you may come across in your SAP career. That is the only intention. As far as the initial sessions are concerned. Okay, I'll definitely explain this in detail when we touch that particular topic. All right, Kunal.
Yes, sir.
Any other question, Kunal?
Oh, so we can continue right now.
Yeah. Now, so we just came to know the advantages. Probably your understanding of how SAP system could be advantageous could be a little unclear. Don't worry about it. As I said, understanding SAP will not happen in one shot, because for you to understand whatever I have written here, you need to get into the SAP system, which we will be doing it slowly but steadily. The intention is to, after this particular training session, you need to be comfortable in using the SAP system, not as an expert. Sorry. What is the title of this course? Your course itself is called as Power User. Forget the word power. The word user itself says you should be in a position to comfortably use the SAP system. That is the only intention. All right, with more insight into the finance side of SAP. I hope I have made the expectations very clear, but I'll be definitely be doing more than this. You will not only understand it as a user. Okay, you will be going much further ahead of what is expected. Okay, you will not only be you'll not only be comfortable in using the SAP system, but after the session gets over, once somebody talks to you in SAP terms, you will be in a much better position, or you'll be feeling more comfortable Okay, to understand what the other person is talking. Clear? So as far as the course is concerned, this is the aim. This is the power user content. Okay. Now, getting into SAP now. In the morning, we just spoke about some terms. Another term which I remember distinctly was, see, now we have used something called as a power user. Okay. And I said, you as a users of SAP system, please mark my words. You are not designing the SAP system. You are simply using the SAP system designed by somebody called as consultant. So why I brought in these particular two terms, the power user. Okay. One is there are two sets of people who can use the SAP system. One, you can use the SAP system to design the solutions. So here I said consultant. See, I am the consultant in IBM. So X Limited comes in to IBM and I am selected for the project to take side of the finance requirements. So X Limited will talk about his business. All right. Now I would gather the information and provide him with solutions. So what am I doing? I'm necessarily converting the SAP product into a customized product for X Limited. That is the role of a consultant. Okay, the job of a consultant is to provide solutions to the business requirements of the client. Now, coming to the users. Again, there are different sets of users: super user, power user, end user, whatever. I am not going to write down that. Simply, they use the system. That is all. Whatever the consultant designs, they simply make use of it. So the consultant is a tailor. I wear the shirt. As a user, I have taken the cloth to the tailor and I've asked him to stitch a shirt for me. He stitches a shirt for me based on my measurements and he gives it to me. So the consultant is a tailor and I wear the shirt what the tailor has designed for me based on my requirements. Do I want a full arm shirt? Do I want a half arm shirt? Do I want a kurta? So based on my requirement, the tailor designs the product. So that is the job of a consultant. And the user is once the consultant designs the cloth, I use it. So I become the user, the tailor becomes the consultant. So necessarily, I working as a consultant in IBM, I take the role of a consultant. The users of the SAP system are the employees of X Limited. Because for whom am I designing the SAP system? I'm designing the SAP system for X Limited's business. So ultimately, I give the product, and it is not that X Limited simply invests on SAP and stays quiet. It is a waste of money and my effort. So the end users or the employees of the company of X Limited, in this case, they start using the SAP system for their regular transactions. Suppose I work in the accounts payable department. I am supposed to enter the invoices. Supposed to enter the purchase transactions. Correct? So this is how this is the different sets of people who are going to make use of the SAP system. I hope now the difference between the consultant and the user, who are the two different sets of people, is clear. Right? So this is the difference between a consultant and a user. And though I would have to stick to only this portion of SAP, I would also get into this role also. Because if I simply start talking to you about what is already there in the slides, it makes no. See, I need to create more interest in new people. OK, so I need to build in and to talk to you about the usage of SAP and how effectively and how productively and for what SAP is being used. And believe me, it is simply wonderful. Our journey is going to be simply wonderful. OK, but just have a little patience. OK, there could be a lot of at least in the initial sessions, there could be a lot of generic talk like I'm doing today, because this is required for you to feel comfortable with SAP. Even before I take you into the system, SAP system itself, these things are a necessity. And when somebody asked me to explain the cycles, I simply refused because it is not the right time for me to explain that from SAP's perspective, because you still need to understand the product. OK, and only then you will be in a position to understand the cycles. All right, till then, it will be, you will also feel a little complicated. OK, I don't want to bring in that kind of a feeling. OK, so let us understand. OK, now let me check if you have. Can I check for the questions? OK, so Kunal has already answered. Okay. All right, now, as I said, I am going to share a couple of slides, my personal slides, so that things could be more clear. It is nothing but the same thing what I've already said, but probably I'm going to add a couple of more things. Okay. Once when I'm confident that you people have understood things better. Okay. Just give me some time. I'll be sharing some slides. Kunal, you're able to see some PPT.
No, sir.
I have two options. Send live. Can I send live?
Yes, sir.
Just hold on. You're able to see the PPT now, Kunal?
No, sir. Just click on the share and share the entire whole screen.
I have done that, Kunal. It
But sir,
says
it is
sharing
not
is paused.
sharing is paused. That's why.
What do you want me to do, Kunal?
Sir, just be share and again share the things. Right now it is not visible.
Okay, Kunal. Yeah. What I'll try to do is I'll open that. Now probably I may be in a position.
Yes, sir. Now it is visible right now.
Visible?
Good to
Okay,
know. Yeah, good to know.
perfect. Yeah. So now this is an insight. So now we will just refresh or uh, probably revisit what we have done so far. So believe me, the repetitions what I do is really worth it. Lot many things will be new every time I repeat something. There'll be something new in that. Okay. So this, as I already told you before, this is my personal slides, which will not be shared, but you will also see the same content, maybe at least 90% of the content in your course content also. Okay. So when you enter into this particular end user power user session, first and the foremost, even before we spoke about SAP, we discussed about what is an ERP. Okay. What are the major business processes? What are the major links? That is, how does one functionality, or let me put it this way, how does the procurement activity reflect on the finance activity, reflect on the finance department, purchase department, how do they talk? The purchase department and and the finance department, how do they talk? How does the finance department know that the purchase department has procured? Make sense? So there has to be some way the system should reflect. Okay. So we have already said this. So why do we require an ERP? Resources are scarce and hence they require meticulous planning. What are the resources? man, money, material. I think you would have studied those three M's in your CMA or in your BComs. Nothing new. See, everything. There is nothing new that I will be talking to you in SAP except for some terminologies, which is actually related to the normal accounting terms or your business terms, nothing beyond that. Planning leads to the best possible utilization of the resources. What does planning help us with? What does ERP helps us with? It helps to meticulously plan for the resources and how very productively or how effectively we can use the resources. In order to plan, we need to have a reliable information system. All right, so that is where your ERP comes into picture. End-to-end integration. What does integration mean? It is nothing but one business process getting linked. Your procurement, your purchase department getting linked to the finance department is your integration. Integrate, that is all. Your integrate term in English is similar to your integration in your SAP. And we have already seen the flow starting from the time the item is purchased till the time the payment is made to the vendor is your information flow. Correct? Robo software to assimilating. SAP provides all of the above. All right. It provides for quick reports. It provides for accurate reporting. It helps you in your resource planning. OK, and it also helps you in connecting, integrating the various business activities without or with minimal human intervention. Okay. Content of an ERP. Probably you can just go through this slide. The departments of an organization are connected to each other by the common thread of business processes. All right. So you can see you're talking about various functionalities: sales process, production planning process, purchase process, material management, personal management, HR, finance and accounts, our area. OK. SAP stands for Systems, Applications and Products or Procedures in Data Processing. OK, you can see some numbers. These numbers, I'm sorry, I have not updated as recently. OK, so this may still be, but the slide is more towards how SAP has turned into a market leader. Though the numbers are out, could be outdated now, it could be more. Definitely, it is more now. OK, it could be the third, instead of the third largest software vendor, it could be the second or even the first. OK, so like that, there could only be improvisations in the numbers. OK, so SAP is an industry leading software application company being headquartered in Waldorf in Germany. Even today, it is headquartered in the same place. Third largest. OK, fine. Let me not get into. See, when this data was updated, worldwide presence in over 50 countries. Now we can imagine this. I think it was around maybe say a couple of years old. This data, it could be even more than 100 countries. Okay, whatever, more major. 6 out of the top 10 companies they use. So can you see how SAP has penetrated into the market? Look at the market penetration. 7 out of 10 profitable companies. I'll just leave the slide for maybe say 2 or 3 minutes. Go through them. This slide, please, if you want, you can make note of it or maybe just keep quiet. But the more important factor is the presence of SAP across the globe. And can you see the spread? 7 out of 10 petroleum related industries, semiconductor, pharmaceutical, computer, chemical, food. I can add real estate because when I was working way back in 2012 to 2014 in Dubai, it was the real estate part of SAP was a big road. They were wanting specialists in real estate. And I also worked for one of the US media companies. Okay. So like this, you can see the industries, the various businesses which have or which are using SAP. I hope now you are getting more clarity into the points which I just said before, even before I showed you these slides. Right? I think probably now things are getting a little clearer. Okay. Who uses SAP? In the previous slide, we have already got what kind of industries, but typical to a sector. Indian Oil Corporation in the oil sector. And you can see the size of HP, Hindustan Petroleum. You can see the size of the business. So they are also using SAP. Tata, Reliance, Jindal, Vedanta. You can see the size of the business. And you can see last, the public sectors. They have very, very complex transactions because I have worked on a public sector implementation project. Okay, so you can, and it took us almost around 2 to 3 years for completion. Such was a complexity involved because the nature of transactions were too very complex. Okay, so you can see SAP can also be used there also in such complex business scenarios. You can see that SAP is also being used. I'll come to this a little later. Don't worry about that. So now you should be a little conversant or little comfortable with the term consultant. What is the role of a consultant? To understand and demonstrate. What does to understand? He needs to understand the business first, as well as the SAP system, SAP product. He has to know, not necessarily be an expert, but at least knowledgeable enough to understand the SAP system. Not an entity, no. If I am called as an FI person, only the finance side of SAP, if I know to a large extent or to a decent extent, I'm good enough. I'm more than happy. Because as I said, the whole of SAP it is impossible for anybody to pick up. If somebody says, I know whole of SAP, I have my own doubts. It is simply not possible. The learning in one of the projects itself is so very immense. Though you may be in the finance side of SAP, but even in the finance side, the learning is so very much, because the business comes up with such complex issues in the finance area itself that you may have to revisit your SAP learning. You may have to learn SAP afresh. Whatever you have missed out based on the issue what has risen, you may have to learn a lot of new things. And that is how you become relevant as a consultant. Constant learning, constant updation. All right. Now, see, so now I cannot talk about the VAT system of taxation at all. I'm outdated. If I say I don't know GST, they will say you're not selected. So I need to keep on upgrading my skills. How is GST made possible in SAP? That I need to know. I simply cannot say I only know the VAT system. No. The industries, my client will not agree. Okay, so you need to understand the ERP package, the functionality of the client of X Limited. As I said, what are the various business cycles? Understand them and analyze how you could provide a better solution in SAP. And how was each functionality linked? How was the finance part of SAP linked to the purchase part of SAP? How is the sale part related to the finance part? How is the human resources part related to the finance part? How is the production planning linked to the finance part? Or how is production planning linked to the material or the purchase side of SAP? Asset management. What is the connection between the asset side of SAP with finance side? So all these links have to be understood. It is nothing but how the things flow. That's it. So if you talk about the purchase cycle, so how does the purchase department come to know that I need to purchase? There is something called as a purchase request. The purchase request is raised by the user department, the department which wants that particular items. So the purchase request, after identifying the vendor who can supply those items, gets formally converted into a purchase order. Then the vendor starts supplying the items. And finally, the vendor is paid. So this is the link between the purchase and this is the link. What are the major links? Map the solutions in SAP according to the as desired by the business, according to the business processes followed by that particular business. Design the system, configure meaning designing. As I said, in our example, the tailor stitching a shirt, according to my measurement, is designing my shirt. Configuring the SAP system based on the requirement of the client is configure. Design. And what do you need to do? You cannot assume that whatever you have done is right. If whatever the shirt the tailor has stitched, I need to wear it and check. So I will check and get back if there is any alterations to be done. If the shirt is tight, I'll go back to the tailor and tell him to take a remeasurement to reassess the measurements. And if the shirt is loose, he will do the same. But he has to meet my requirements and deliver. All right, this is the responsibility of the consultant. All right. Okay, I'll come back to this a little later. See graphically what you're seeing is your typical SAP system, which I'll be showing it to you. Please do not pay much attention to this. I was just trying to find out the slides. I'll come back to this a little later. Now, how is SAP broken up into? How is SAP subdivided? As I said, the functionalities, the various departments in an organization. Can you see? They are referred to as modules in SAP. Your finance side of the business is referred to as the FI module. Your management accounting is referred to as a controlling module. Your purchase department or your purchasing activities is called as materials management, module. Your sales activities is related to the sales and distribution module in SAP. Your production activities, your production department is called as a production planning module in SAP. So module is another alternative term for your departments in SAP. That is all. For simple understanding, it is the various departments. Plant maintenance. Okay, human resources. So you would have heard about all them, right? It is not typical to SAP itself. All right. I'll come to this a little later. Submodules in FI. Controlling, when you're talking about this is typical to your controlling is nothing but your costing. CO. Costing is also alternatively called as management accounting module. Okay, we call it as CO mode. Okay, don't bother about that. See, financial accounting, finance department, management accounting department, purchasing department, production planning department, sales department. Okay, this I will talk to you. What are the organizational units? I will talk to you a little later. In short terms, they are called as FI module, CO module, module, PP module, SD module, HR module, PM module, PS module. So they are called as, what is PS? Project systems. What is PM? Plant maintenance. What is HR? Human resources. So they are all so simply said, your various departments in an organization is referred to as your modules in SAP. All right. I will skip this for the moment. Don't bother about that. Do not bother. See, one typical example of a business cycle. Till now, we were talking about the business cycles, right? So he has taken the SD side, sales and distribution. So sales invoice, you deliver the goods. Okay, if you're running short of goods, you produce, you release an order to the PP module, or if the material, you procure the raw material. So this is your cycle. Is the cycle. Some cycle, some business cycle. So your FI is also here. Can you see the FI side here? Receipts and payments. So finally, when you're talking about either the payments to the vendors or receipts from the customers, you have your FI module. All right. So we will probably on Monday, we'll get into greater detail as to what is this. What are the various industries that are using SAP? Now can you see? Aerospace, automotive, banking, chemicals, food, your medical, everything. You can see the spread of your media. I was fortunate enough to work on a media project. I worked on a public sector project also. I worked for a telecommunication also. Insurance, no. In public sector. Real estate is missing out. But all I wanted to tell you is the spread of the SAP product. It is spread across the various industries, even to your food industry. Is food mentioned here? Healthcare, healthcare. So you can see the spread of the SAP system. Okay. So what is this FICO, finance and controlling module? In this course also, you do not learn only the finance side, but you will also learn the basic requirements of the management accounting module also. But very minimal. Please do not expect. It's a very, very complex module. Requires a lot of explanation. Okay. Probably I can take months together to spend time only on the management accounting module. Okay. So we are going to see this. So we are going to see all these things. Don't worry. See, I was talking to you about the procurement cycle, purchase cycle. See, purchase order, your purchase requisition, PR gets converted into a PO, then goods receipt. So in between these two steps, there is something called as vendor evaluation. Okay. You have a goods receipt, your stock coming into your store, your warehouse. Okay. And here are your typical finance activities. Your invoice is compared to your purchase order. Okay, whether the material is supplied at the agreed price and the quantity. If I have asked for 100 quantity, if you have supplied only 80, then the purchase order will not be closed. Okay, so the purchase order is still open until and unless the 20 stock comes in to our organization. Okay, so these things, they are happening automatically in SAP. There are different transactions happening at various steps, which I'll be talking to you in greater detail along with SAP. Okay, I'll be taking you into that only when the time comes. All right. At the relevant time, because now if I start explaining with the procurement cycle itself, you will not be in a position to appreciate. Okay, you will not be in a position to understand. And that is not my idea. Don't worry. So this is as far as the slides, but this is not Please make a note. This is not the slides what is going to be provided to you. All right, this is the slides for my own purpose I have prepared. Okay, so this is to bring in more clarity to the understanding. So don't worry about all this. I'll be taking through all these things. Okay, so this is what you can expect. We will be talking more and more about the finance side of SAP. All right, now I will take you back to the Excel sheet. Kunal, can you please confirm if you're able to see my Excel sheet?
Yes, sir.
Perfect. Thank you, Kunal. So apart from this, we didn't see the user, the term called user. Okay, but he or she is simply the user of the SAP system. That's okay, nothing more than that. To enter their own day-to-day transactions. Okay, they make use of the SAP system to generate invoices or whatever, make a payment to the vendor, receive money from the customers, maybe say capitalize assets, carry out depreciation. So, all right. They are the typical people who carry out the day-to-day functions. Now, what is the new thing that we learned now? Modules. Okay. If you talk about SAP, broadly classified, you see the functional modules, technical modules. Basically, SAP is bifurcated into your functional side of the business and the technical side of the business. You would be more interested to know what is the technical side of the business. Just hold on, I'll come to that. So what could be the functional side of SAP? Finance activities, your management accounting, or costing. Your costing module is referred to as your controlling module. Your material management, your purchase, your sales and distribution module, your production planning module, your human resources module, your project systems module, your quality management module, asset management also, yes, quality management. All right. So the functional side, the operational side of your business is broken down into the functional module in SAP. Okay. Now, if you're talking about the technical side, this could be a little interesting. There are two basic modules which constitute the technical side of SAP, ABAP. I will talk to you about ABAP a little later. There are people who look after the technical side of SAP also. Now, what is the technical side of SAP? Now, whenever you talk about, let us say, now the data management is a huge role, correct? All your data has to be secured. All your data has to be protected also. How does SAP ensure that all the relevant data or all the confidential data of the organization is protected? It doesn't go out of the company. It doesn't reach the competitor. Your valuable data is not reaching the competitor. There is a module called basis, which takes care of the security of the system. So there are professionals who are also called as basis consultants. So the SAP specialists in these particular modules, they are called by the respective. So suppose I'm into finance, I'm called as a finance consultant, FI consultant, CO consultant, consultant, PP consultant, SD consultant, HR consultant. So here also we have specialists who are into this particular technical side of SAP. One is the basis. So what does the basis consultant do? He takes care of course, his functions are little more, but I'm just keeping things very simple at the current moment, just by telling you that the basis person is responsible for the protection of your confidential SAP data. Clear? Now, what does ABAP stand for? I'll tell you a little later. Now, if you're talking about any product, there has to be some programming done in that, right? Now I said in finance, you can draw various reports. In management accounting, you have various reports. What do I mean by reports? Suppose I want to get an estimate of the vendor balance. I want to know my creditors position because I want to know my liability. How do I get that in the SAP system? Through some kind of a report. How is this report designed? How is this report designed? It has to be in the form of a program, which has to be coded. So the people who take care of the coding, they are referred to as ABAP specialists. Now, let me go a little further. I told you that I wanted a report on creditors. Now, SAP has its own standard format for a report. Okay, it has its own set of columns 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, X Limited, for whom I am designing the SAP, he wants that particular creditors report in his own format. SAP is generating some report, no doubt. SAP is generating a wonderful report of creditors, excellent. But I wanted for my business purposes in the format as I want. I find that X Limited management finds that the report generated by SAP probably is not meeting my requirements. It could be whatever the reasons could be. So I need to change the report. But I am taking care of the finance side of SAP, correct? Now, how do I know how to change the report? Because I need to change the program also. So there is an ABAP specialist or an ABAP consultant in every project to take care of these changes. It need not be necessarily with respect to creditors report. It could be any complex report, especially when you're talking about the reports. What I have observed is whenever there is a report, or rather change of reports, change of format, especially in the management accounting side, the requirement is very complex. It is not easy. I will tell you why. Okay. Why the requirement becomes complex, I will tell you probably on Monday. Okay. Now, there has to be a person who can change the coding to basically satisfy X Limited's reporting requirement. So I need how the project works is I will tell you the project life cycle. How the SAP project works, I will let you. That should not be a problem. Okay. Now, when I talk about, I only know that X Limited wants these changes in the management accounting report. Now, I need to take this requirement, sit with the technical person, with the ABAP person, and tell him that the report needs these particular things to be added or subtracted, whatever. All right. So what I mean to tell you is necessarily an SAP implementation is a combination of the of the functional modules as well as of technical modules. They work hand in hand for the successful completion of a project. So a project cannot simply work on only the functional side of SAP or only the technical side of SAP. There has to be a combination. All right. So this is how the SAP projects or SAP is implemented in a client's place. I hope till now, whatever has been done is clear. Please go through whatever has happened. Just try to reassess whatever has happened. I'll give you 2 minutes time, 2 to 3 minutes. Okay. And please come back to me with questions. Any questions, Kunal?
Sir, I have posted every question in the published one.
Okay, I'll just go through that list.
Yes, sir.
Just give me a minute. Okay. I see a few questions. What is the difference between SAP FICO and SAP S/4HANA? Uh, Actually, Gangesh, the question is wrong. FICO is a module, whereas HANA is a different setup of SAP itself. How SAP is seen in HANA is totally different. I'll explain this, okay? Not a problem. What is ABAP? ABAP, if you want the explanation, I will explain that. I will put up the. It is nothing but a coding language. It is the language which SAP is coding. I gave you an example of the coding. Okay, what is the other question? What is the operation of SAP? What is practiced by company not having SAP? See, I don't know what other companies would be using if they are not using SAP. They have various other things which they can use. So as I said, see, companies existed even before SAP also. So it is not necessary that they have to use SAP. What is S4 HANA? HANA is a totally a technical side of SAP, how the database itself is designed. Okay, we'll talk about S4 HANA. I think Mr. Balaji will be taking up this session, maybe in the last few sessions. Yeah, we will come to that finance cycle. It is not a cycle. I will tell you what a payment approval and payment advice is. Okay. See, in SAP FI, we will deal with configuration side. Typically, I'll be talking to you about both. We'll deal with basically less of configuration and more on the end user side. Okay. What about the finance cycle? Okay. Can we get these notes? The notes which I'm showing you currently, which is being flashed, that I'm not in a position to share. But you will be having a course. You'll be having something called as an energy portal. Probably I'll ask somebody to talk to you on this on Monday. Okay. See the sessions, as I said, is happening both in the morning and in the afternoon. ओके सो अगर आप दोनों क्लासेस अटेंड करोगे तो दोपहर को और सुबह आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग काफी बहुत अच्छा होगा. ठीक है. फॉर आई थिंक somebody has asked me a question, मॉर्निंग और आफ्टरनून दोनों सेशंस लेनी है, दोनों क्लास लेनी है. रिकॉर्डिंग्स आई थिंक प्रॉब्ली विल बी अवेलेबल. अगर आप दोनों क्लासेस अटेंड करेंगी तो बेहतर होगा क्योंकि आपका अंडरस्टैंडिंग और ज्यादा मजबूत हो. ठीक. See, I have not yet shown you the SAP system. No, I'm simply talking about what the course is all about and what is SAP all about even before I take you into the SAP system. अभी तक तो मैंने आपको SAP दिखाया भी नहीं, उसके बारे में सिर्फ बात कर रहा हूं। SAP क्या है आप बिल्कुल नहीं जानते, आप SAP सिस्टम कैसे दिखता है वो भी मैंने आपको दिखाया नहीं। इट विल हैपन इन अ स्लो एंड स्टडी थिंग, ओके। आपको सिर्फ ये बता रहा हूं कि SAP में आप एक्सपेक्ट क्या कर सकते हैं, उसी की बात कर रहा हूं। और आपको थोड़ा बहुत यहाँ SAP में जो टर्मिनोलॉजीज यूज होते हैं उसको मैं आपको बता दूं, ठीक है। अगर मैं आपको आज ही से मैं SAP के अंदर लेके चला जाऊंगा तो बहुत बहुत कॉम्प्लेक्स हो जाएगा, ठीक। S/4HANA आप थोड़ा रुकिएगा, हाना के बारे में बालाजी सर बात करेंगे, लेकिन उससे पहले मैं आपको हाना क्या है मैं आपको थोड़ा बहुत मैं आपको मंडे को समझाऊंगा, ठीक है। I was unable to attend. Can you please tell me what should I do about the attendance? I think somebody from EME should address this.
Yes,
This
sir.
technical, yeah.
Students, attendance is marked automatically once you start the class, and until it gets finished, it will be marked. So don't worry about it. Just be on time and join the class. That's it. Yes, sir. That's it.
Yes, SAP can integrate with other applications, third-party tools, what we call in SAP. Okay, first let us try to understand SAP. Yes, it can. See now, a simple example and a wonderful example and a very powerful example for this. Somebody, Saunak Lahari, has asked me a question, can SAP integrate with other applications? One simple example I can tell you, you can download whatever information in SAP into your Excel or into your Word. Excel में ज्यादा हम लोग डाउनलोड करते हैं, ठीक है, एंड वाइस वर्सा भी हो सकता है. From Excel to SAP also you can upload. I think I hope I have answered the question as to can SAP integrate with other applications. So overview of every cycle will be shown to you when I reach that business life cycles. Okay. Excel sheet. I'm very doubtful if I can share the Excel sheet. This is just as if I'm making notes. मैं share क्यों नहीं करूंगा, इसका मतलब यह है कि I have just become a, I mean I have just I'm just making notes. I'm going with the flow. जो मैं आपको बता रहा हूं मैं उसको उसका नोट्स कर रहा हूं, बस इससे ज्यादा कुछ नहीं. Why CMA can also become a consultant? I basically am an inter CMA qualified, so I'm a consultant. So CMA can also become a consultant. There is no stopping. It is not that BTech you need to become a consultant with a BTech. Yes, this can be true to some extent if you want to take up the technical side of SAP, like say ABAP or your basis. But as far as the functional modules is concerned, even a BCom, a BSc can become a consultant. All right. Brief overview, explain asset cycle again. I have not explained any cycle. I have just made some few points on that. That's it. I have not explained any cycle. I have told that I will be doing the explanation only when the time comes. Okay. I think this is for the EME people to take up. Sir, can you please tell us about the installation of SAP GUI? Okay.
Sir, I think all the data they will get updated on their mail only.
Absolutely.
Just wait for the mail. We will notify you with the
Exactly.
updates.
And Vaibhavi, we have not spoken anything about the installation of SAP till now. We have not spoken about it at all. Okay, don't worry about the installation of SAP. At the relevant time, there are people who will explain this. Okay, right, Kunal?
Yes, sir.
Asset cycle, O2C cycle. Sure, I will do my best to take up other examples. Okay. See, what I meant by saying that you cannot become a specialist in SAP is SAP as a subject is huge. You can understand the depth of the SAP's just the finance module, I will tell you. Okay. When you talk about the finance module itself, you will see that there are so many things which you need to learn. Okay. Learning is continuous. And there are so many things which you need to learn in SAP. The learning is never ends. As I said, if X Limited has certain business challenges, your next implementation, which could be Y Limited, it will have its own business challenges. Z Limited, it will have its own business complications. So like this, each experience, each project will be an experience. Okay, and you see see you are an FI consultant. In FI itself, X Limited may come out with a new requirement. Y Limited may come out with a different requirement. Z Limited may come out with a different requirement. This is exactly what I said. You cannot say that you are a specialist because each thing you may have to rework. You may have to go back to your basics and come back with a solution. That is exactly what I meant by saying that one cannot say that I know SAP. All right. So explanation of the cycles will be done at the appropriate time. Okay. What is the difference between ABAP module versus the other modules? So Mr. Arun Kumar has asked me this question. ABAP is as I said, is the coding side of SAP. You write programs, right? You do the coding. If you have heard about, say, C++, there is always something called as a programming. You code. Suppose you want to have a certain output, you program something, you write a code to generate that output. The same thing an ABAP person does in SAP. I gave you an example of a change in the report. Suppose I want to have a new column being added in my report. So what do? I'm a functional consultant. I don't know anything about programming. So I would definitely have to take the help of the technical consultant, the ABAP consultant. All right. So this is the difference between your ABAP module and your other functional modules. I hope I have answered that question. You will definitely get the notes to study. OK, I think probably we'll discuss this on Monday. Why to implement SAP can, yeah. See, why to implement SAP is your business requirement. If at all SAP can generate or say can make the functionality of your business more productive, then you can definitely implement SAP. Any small or big organization could. As I said, SAP can now be implemented even for a small firm or even for a medium scale firm and also for a large scale firm. So the size of the company doesn't matter. It is only the requirement, how productively you can use SAP. And it is your business decision. Your top level management of your organization should take a decision whether I want to implement SAP or not to implement SAP. After implementing SAP, what are the benefits that I'm going to get? How effectively can I run the business? Can I manage my business after SAP? All right, that is the business decision. So they will have their own things to analyze. So basically, I see a lot of questions being asked about the course content and the business cycles. Definitely your course, the material for the course is going to definitely be shared. OK, not to worry about that. And also not to worry about the other questions, whatever you have asked, the business cycles. The business cycles will definitely be covered in greater detail with the SAP screens. Not to worry. All right. And how your course content is also designed, that also I'll be taking you through. Not to worry. All right. So we will be meeting next on Monday at 11 a.m. I think, Kunal, if I have answered all the questions, we can wind up for the day. Kunal, are you there?
Yes, sir.
If I've answered, I think I have answered most of the questions.
Sure, sir.
Yeah, I think we can wind up and
Sure, sir.
again meet on Monday.
Yes, sure, sir. Thank you, student, for today's session. For today's session, we are right now winding up the session. The next session will be on Monday at the same time, which is we have sent you on the schedule. Just follow the instruction and join the class. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye bye.
Bye, sir.